Nothing happened. No bad news. No conflict. No threat. No problem. Not yet. But your brain is already 3 scenarios deep. What if this goes wrong? What if they meant something else? What if you're already too late to do anything about it? What if the silence means exactly what you think it means? You haven't checked, you don't know. But the loop is already running, building cases, running timelines, preparing for outcomes that haven't happened. This is loop file number 3, the what if loop. And what I want to show you in the next minutes is this. The loop isn't starting because something is wrong. It's starting because your brain never learned the difference between a real threat and an invented one. And that's a very fixable problem. Here's how the what if loop works in practice. Something uncertain enters your life. Not something bad, not something good, just uncertain. A calendar invite with no context. A meeting request from someone you weren't expecting. A message that ends differently than usual. 1 word shorter. No emoji where there usually is one. A silence that lasts a little too long. And the moment uncertainty lands, the analyst opens a file, not to solve anything, to prepare. So it starts running scenarios. What if this means that? What if that leads to this? What if you hadn't done that thing last week? Last month? 3 years ago? What if this is already further along than you think? What if there's something you've missed? And it runs these scenarios not once, not twice, but on a loop, returning to the file every few minutes to check if anything has changed, even when nothing has changed, even when you already looked. Here's what makes this loop different from regular worry. Regular worry has an object, something specific that's actually wrong. The what if loop doesn't need a real problem. It creates one. The analyst opens the file and then fills it with invented evidence, hypothetical conversations, constructed timelines, scenarios that haven't happened, outcomes that probably never will. And here's the critical part. It treats all of it with the same urgency as an actual emergency, the same alertness, the same processing power, spent on something that exists only inside the file. Before we talk about what closes this loop, it helps to understand why it starts in the first place. Because this isn't a character flaw. It's not overthinking because something is wrong with you. It's what happens when a system built for one environment gets placed in a completely different one. Your brain was built to anticipate threats. In the environment it was designed for, threats were physical, obvious, immediate. You saw something dangerous. Your brain opened a file. You responded. The file closed. There was a clear ending. The threat was resolved. Or it wasn't. Either way, the file closed. But the threats you deal with today aren't physical. They're social, professional, relational, existential. They're often invisible, ambiguous, unconfirmed. And when the analyst faces an ambiguous threat, it does the only thing it knows how to do. It prepares. It builds the worst-case scenario. Not because it thinks the worst case is likely, but because being wrong about a threat that doesn't exist is safer than missing a threat that does. So, the system defaults to maximum preparation. And here's where it gets stuck. In the original design, the file had a physical ending. You ran, or you fought, or the danger passed. The body got a signal that the situation was resolved, and the file closed. But a what-if loop has no physical ending. There's no moment where the threat is confirmed or denied. No signal that says, this case is resolved. So, the analyst does what any good analyst does when the case isn't resolved. It keeps the file open, just in case. And just in case has no expiry date. The file stays open. The loop keeps running. Not because you're broken, because nobody sent the signal. Here are 5 signs the what-if loop is running in your life right now. 1. You prepare for conversations that haven't happened yet. Full scripts, multiple versions. What you'll say if they say this. What you'll do if it goes that way. Hours of preparation for a conversation that may never happen. Or when it does happen, goes nothing like any version you prepared for. 2. Small ambiguous things get large amounts of your processing power. A one-word reply, a slight change in tone, a left-on read, a notification that turned out to be nothing. The loop treats all of it as data worth a full case review. 3. You feel exhausted before things have started because you've already lived through 12 versions of them in your head. The event hasn't happened. The conversation hasn't begun. But you've already been running it for 3 days. 4. Reassurance helps for about 4 minutes. Someone tells you it's fine. You believe them. For a moment. Then the loop opens the file again. Because the loop doesn't need reassurance. It needs a closing signal. And reassurance isn't a closing signal. 5. You can't fully inhabit good moments because somewhere underneath, the analyst is already scanning for what could go wrong next. The achievement, the good day, the quiet evening where nothing's wrong, and the loop is already asking, yes, but what if? The standard advice for this loop is to stop thinking about it. To distract yourself, stay present. Think positive. Here's why that doesn't work. You're not thinking about the what-ifs because you chose to. You're thinking about them because the analyst has an open file. And an open file doesn't close because you tell it to. Distraction doesn't close the file. It just moves your attention somewhere else. The moment the distraction stops, the analyst is right back in the file because the file is still open. The work isn't done. So what actually closes a what-if file? Not certainty. That's the first instinct. Give the analyst certainty. Prove it won't go wrong. Find the evidence. Get the confirmation. But you can't give the analyst certainty about something that hasn't happened yet. And trying to find that certainty just feeds the loop more material to process. What closes the what-if loop is a different kind of signal. A reality signal, one that distinguishes between threats that deserve an open file and threats that exist only inside the analyst's simulation. It's a specific question directed at the file itself. Not, is this going to be okay? That question keeps the file open. It's asking the analyst to predict the future. The question that closes the file is this. Is this threat real right now? Or is this a simulation? That question does something the loop cannot do on its own. It forces the analyst to check the evidence. Not the invented evidence, the actual evidence. What do I actually know right now that makes this a confirmed threat? In most cases, when the analyst actually checks, the threat isn't real yet. The file was opened on a possibility, not a fact. And possibilities don't need open files. They need a note that says, check again if this becomes real. Then close. What I just described is the reality switch. One of 5 switches in the quiet switch system. Each one targets a different point in the loop. The awareness switch catches the loop before it locks in. The reality switch closes the files that shouldn't be open. The body switch removes the physical tension that keeps the loop anchored. The focus switch interrupts the re-engagement before the loop can restart. And the action switch breaks the paralysis when the analyst won't let you move. If the what-if loop is yours, the reality switch is where you start. The full technique, the exact question, the exact sequence, and how to use it in the moment is in the Quiet Switch Guide. Link is in the description. There's also a short quiz at the beginning. That identifies which switch you actually need first. Because not every loop starts the same way. Take the quiz, find your switch, start there,